Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Now with today's main headlines. UN confirms over 90% of earthquake victims in Afghanistan were women and children. Humanitarian corridor in Gaza necessary to supply medical services and to protect civilians, WHO says. Human rights experts voice concern over European crackdown on climate protesters. Millions breathe hazardous air in Amazon as drought and wildfires spread through rainforest. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. This is Hussein Jawad and watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3 in London. UN officials confirmed on Thursday that more than 90% of the people killed by a 6.3 magnitude earthquake in western Afghanistan last weekend were women and children. According to Taliban officials, Saturday's earthquake killed more than 2,000 people of all ages and genders across Herat province. The epicenter was in Zandajan district, where 1,294 people died, 1,688 were injured, and every home was destroyed, according to UN figures. The initial earthquake, numerous aftershocks, and a second 6.3 magnitude earthquake on Wednesday flattened entire villages, destroying hundreds of mud brick homes that could not withstand such force. Schools, health clinics, and other village facilities also collapsed. The maternity hospital in Herat province has cracks that make the structure unsafe. The UN has provided tents so pregnant women have somewhere to stay and receive care. Earthquakes are common in Afghanistan, where there are a number of fault lines and frequent movement among three nearby tectonic plates. The head of the World Health Organization, WHO, on Thursday said a humanitarian corridor in besieged Gaza is necessary to provide medical services, supplies, and to protect civilians. We need a corridor to provide medical services. One is to protect civilians, and second, to provide them with the support they need, be it food, medical services, or supplies. Tedros Adhanom told reporters in Lyon, France, where he attended a WHO Academy ceremony. More than 2,700 people have been killed since the outbreak of the conflict on Saturday, including over 1,400 Palestinians and 1,300 Israelis. Human rights experts and campaigners have warned against an intensifying crackdown on climate protesters across Europe, The Guardian reported yesterday, October 12th, adding that research found countries across the continent using repressive measures to silence activists. The crackdowns have come in spite of calls by senior human rights advocates and environmental campaigners to allow civic space for the right to non-violent protest after a summer of record-breaking heat in southern Europe that is attributed to the effects of climate breakdown. According to Michael Forst, the UN Rapporteur on Environmental Defenders since June last year, there is an increasing number of cases by which climate activists are brought to court more and more often, and more severe laws are being passed to facilitate these attacks on defenders. Let's remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. UN confirms over 90% of earthquake victims in Afghanistan were women and children. Humanitarian corridor in Gaza necessary to supply medical services and to protect civilians. Human rights experts voice concern over European crackdown on climate protesters. Also tonight, Ontario Museum to hold two-day event on Muslim culture, science and arts. Thick smoke has enveloped extensive areas of the Brazilian Amazon on Thursday as the region grapples with surge in wildfires and a historic drought. In Manaus, a city of 2 million, air quality ranked among the worst globally, leading to the suspension of college classes and the cancellation of various activities, including an international marathon. In the first 11 days of October, Amazonas state recorded over 2,700 fires. This is already the highest number for the month since official monitoring began in 1998. Virtually all fire is human-caused, primarily for deforestation or pasture clearance. Over the past 6 weeks, Manaus and other cities of Amazonas state have intermittently been blanketed by thick smoke, making it difficult to breathe. The city's air quality index fluctuated between unhealthy and hazardous levels during the last 2 days, resembling the conditions in some major Asian metropolitan areas. And now we continue with some short news. A new study has been released examining food shortages stemming from extreme weather events that could potentially lead to civil unrest in the UK within 50 years. The research agency explained that according to the findings, and shortages of staple carbohydrates like wheat, bread, pasta and cereal appear to be the most likely triggers of such unrest. It stressed that our study emphasises the importance of developing plans to help the UK prepare for and to respond to the risks associated with food shortages in the future. In the aftermath of the Taliban's resurgence in Afghanistan in 2021, many Afghan refugees sought sanctuary in the United Kingdom. However, a growing number of these refugees now find themselves trapped in the state of visa limbo. The process of seeking asylum and the waiting times have left them in a state of uncertainty, adding to the complexity of their situation. Pakistan recently announced its intention to expel Afghan migrants residing within its borders. This decision places additional pressure on the UK as it grapples with the influx of Afghan refugees. At least 4 people were killed and several others injured when an express train derailed in the Indian state of Bihar. The train from Anand Vihar Terminal Railway Station in Delhi came off the rails at around 9:35 p.m. local time on Wednesday as it raced to the Kamakaya junction in Assam, the article added. 4 casualties have been confirmed and rescue operation is underway. 21 coaches have been derailed, Tarun Prakash, general manager of the East Central Railway, says. The cause of the derailment was not immediately known. The vibrancy and diversity and innovation of Islamic culture will be the spotlight at a free event this weekend at the Ken Sealing Waterloo Region Museum. A celebration of Islamic heritage is a 2-day event to mark Islamic History Month that will include exhibitors, food, vendors, performances and speakers with a theme of Muslim women in the arts and sciences. Speakers and performers will recognize the past, present and future contributions of Muslim women in the fields of art and science. The Islamic Society of North America will offer a virtual reality experience to see historic Mecca from several hundred years ago. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our dear viewers of today's main headlines. UN confirms over 90% of earthquake victims in Afghanistan were women and children. Humanitarian corridor in Gaza, necessary to supply medical services and to protect civilians. Human rights experts voiced concern over European crackdown on climate protesters. Millions breathe hazardous air in Amazon as drought and wildfires spread through rainforest. Ontario Museum to hold two-day event on Muslim culture, science and art. You can view the latest news on our Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on a news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you very much for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.